So the last thing we read in Esperanza Rising, she was just had her first experience trying to learn how to sweep, and she failed, got really embarrassed, and then everyone came back from their first day of work, and she found out that the roses were planted there by Miguel and Alfonso, and they're getting ready for a big dance called the Jamaica. Okay. So Isabel bent over and brushed her hair in the dry air. "Are you coming to the Jamaica tonight?" she asked. Esperanza didn't answer at first. She had not left the cabin since she had made a fool of herself yesterday. I don't know, maybe. My mama says it is best to get it over with and face people. And if they tease you, you should just laugh, said Isabel. I know, said Esperanza, fluffing her own hair that was already almost dry. She dumped the nuts onto the table and picked up almonds, still in its flattened pod. The soft and fuzzy outside hull looked like two hands pressed together, protecting something inside. So if you've ever seen real almonds, or almonds before they're shelled, they're a really interesting shell. Esperanza popped it open and found the almond shell. She snapped the edge of the shell and pried it apart, then pulled the meat from its defenses and ate it. I suppose Marta will be there tonight. Probably, said Isabel, and all of her friends, too. How does she know English? She was born here, and her mother, too. They are citizens, said Isabel, helping shell the almonds. Her father came from Sonora during the revolution. They have never even been to Mexico. There's lots of kids who live in our camp who have never even been to Mexico. My father doesn't like it when Marta comes to our Jamaicas, though, because she's always talking to people about striking. There was almost a strike during almonds, but not enough people agreed to stop working. My mama says that if there had been a strike, we would have had to gone to the orchard and shake the trees ourselves for these almonds. Then we're lucky. What is your mother making with these nuts? Flan de almendra, said Isabel, which means almond flan. She will sell slices at the Jamaica tonight. Esperanza's mouth watered. Almond flan was one of her favorite sweets. Then I've made my decision. I will come. The platform was lit up with big lights. Men from the camp in starched and pressed shirts and cowboy hats sat in chairs tuning their guitars and violins. Long rows of tables were covered in bright tablecloths where women sold tamales, desserts, and the specialty, agua de Jamaica, hibiscus flower water punch made with red Mexican Jamaica bloom. There was bingo on wooden tables and a long line of chairs circling the dance area for those who wanted to watch. That's where Mama and Hortensia sat, talking to other women. Esperanza stayed close to them, watching the growing crowd. Where did all the people come from? She asked. The other night, she had heard Juan say that about 200 people lived in the camp, but there are many more than that now. These fiestas are popular. People come from other camps, said Josefina. And from Bakersfield, too. When the music started, everyone crowded around the platform, clapping and singing. People started dancing in the area around the stage. Children ran everywhere, chasing and hiding. Men held young boys on their shoulders, and women swaddled their infants, all of them swaying to the sound of the small band. After a while, Esperanza left Mama and the others and wandered through the noisy crowd, thinking how strange it was that she could be in the middle of so many people and still feel so alone. She saw a group of girls who seemed about her age, but they were huddled together. More than anything, she wished Marisol were here. Isabel found her and pulled her on her hand. Esperanza, come and see. Esperanza let herself be led through the crowd. Someone from town had brought a litter of kittens. A group of girls were crowded next to the cardboard box, cooing and cradling them. It was clear that Isabel desperately wanted one. Esperanza whispered to her, I will go ask your mother. She wove back through the crowd to find Josefina, and when she agreed, Esperanza practically ran back to the spot to tell Isabel. But when she got there, a bigger crowd had gathered and something else was going on. Marta and some of her friends stood in the bed of a truck that was parked nearby, each of them holding up one of the tiny kittens. This is what we are, she yelled. Small, meek animals. And that is how they treat us because we don't speak up. If we don't ask for what is rightfully ours, we will never get it. Is this how we want to live? She held the kitten by the back of the neck, waving it high in the air. It hung limp in front of the crowd. With no decent home and at the mercy of those bigger than us, richer than us. Isabel trembled, her eyes in a panic. Will she drop it? A man called out. Maybe all that cat wants to do is feed its family. Maybe it doesn't care what all the other cats are doing. Senor, does it not bother you that some of your compadres live better than others? Yelled one of Marta's friends. We're going to strike in 2 weeks at the peak of cotton for higher wages and better housing. We don't pick cotton on this farm, yelled another man from the camp. What does it matter? Yelled Marta. If we all stop working, if all the Mexicans are juntos, together, she made a fist and held it in the air, then maybe it will help us all. He yelled back. That is a chance we cannot take. We just want to work. That's why we came here. Get out of our camp. A cheer rose up around him. People started shoving, and Esperanza grabbed Isabel's hand and pulled her aside. A young man jumped into the truck and started the engine. Marta and the others tossed the kittens into the field. Then they pulled some of their supporters back into the back of the truck with them and raised their arms, chanting, Huelga, huelga, strike, strike. Why is she so angry? Asked Esperanza as she walked back to the cabin a few hours later with Josefina, Isabel, and the babies, leaving the others to stay later. Isabel carried the soft, mewing orange kitten in her arms. She and her mother move around to find work, sometimes all over the state, said Josefina. They work wherever there is something to be harvested. Those camps, the migrant camps, are the worst. Like when we were in El Centro, said Isabel. Worse, said Josefina. Our camp is a company camp, and people who work here don't leave. Some live here for many years. That is why we came to this country, to work, to take care of our families, to become citizens. We are lucky because our camp is better than most. There are many of us who don't want to get involved in the strike because we can't afford to lose our jobs. And we are accustomed to how things are in our little community. They want to strike for better houses? Asked Esperanza. That, and more money for those who pick cotton, said Josefina. They only get 7 cents a pound for picking cotton. They want 10 cents a pound. It seems like such a small price to pay, but in the past, the growers said no. And now more people are coming to the valley to look for work, especially from places like Oklahoma, where there is little work, little rain, and little hope. If the Mexicans strike, the big farms will simply hire others. Then what would we do? Esperanza wondered what would happen if Mama did not have a job. Would they have to go back to Mexico? Josefina put the babies to bed. Then she kissed Isabel and Esperanza on their foreheads and sent them next door. Isabel and Esperanza lay in their beds listening to the music and the bursts of laughter in the background. The kittens, after drinking a bowl of milk, curled up in Isabel's arms. Esperanza tried to imagine the conditions that were more shabby than this room, that were covered in newspapers to keep out the wind. Keep out the wind. Could things possibly be worse? Sleepily, Isabel said, Did you have parties in Mexico? Yes, whispered Esperanza, keeping her promise to tell Isabel about her old life. Big parties. Once my mama hosted a party for 100 people. The table was set with lace tablecloths, crystal and china, and silver candelabras. The servants cooked for a week. Esperanza continued, reliving the extravagant moments, but was relieved when she knew that Isabel was asleep. For some reason, after hearing about Marta and her family, she felt guilty talking about the richness of her life in Aguascalientes. Esperanza was still awake when Mama came to bed later. A stream of light from the other room allowed just enough brightness for her to watch Mama unbraid her hair and brush it out. Did you like the party? Mama whispered. I miss my friends, said Esperanza. I know it is hard. Do you know what I miss? I miss my dresses. Mama, Esperanza said, laughing that Mama would admit such a thing to her. Shh, said Mama. You will wake Isabel. I miss my dresses too, but we don't seem to need them here. That is true, Esperanza. Do you know that I am so proud of you? For all that you're learning? Esperanza snuggled close to her. Mama continued. Tomorrow we're going to a church in Bakersfield. After church, we're going to una tienda called Cholitas. Josefina said she sells every type of sweet roll and Mexican candies. They were quiet, listening to Isabel's breathing. In church, what will you pray for, Esperanza? Asked Mama. Esperanza smiled. She and Mama had done this many times before they went to sleep. I will light a candle for Papa's memory, she said. I will pray that Miguel will find a job at the railroad. I will ask Our Lady, that's the saint they pray to, I will ask Our Lady to help me take care of Lupe and Pepe while Isabel is at school. And I will pray for some white coconut candy with a red stripe on top. Mama laughed softly. But most of all, I will pray that Abuelita will get well and that she will be able to get her money from Tio Luis's bank and that she will come soon. Mama stroked Esperanza's hair. What will you pray for, Mama? I will pray for all the things you said, Esperanza, and one more thing besides. What's that? Mama hugged her. I will pray for you, Esperanza, that you can be strong no matter what happens. So that's the first chapter. Oh, Lucy's watching the live stream. Cool. Well, I'm going to hit record and end stream, and then post this to the classroom. I'm glad Lucy found this. That's cool. I'll be doing this hopefully every day, usually around the morning times.